Welcome to our second Library of Things pop-up workshop. Meet Brian Sedita. He's at the Totowa Public Library. What is your title, Brian, there? Do you have a title there or?
I think officially like collections development and technical.
Okay, cool. Well, this actually fits right into that scope of responsibility since he's created this expanded upon the concept of library things for the Totowa Public Library. So, Brian, it's all yours.
Hey, hello. Thank you guys for coming. And I know, Wayne, you guys have a small, when we were looking at like cataloging, we saw you guys have some non-traditional items that we looked at. I think I saw a drone in there. Is that correct? Yeah. So when we decided to do this library of things, I'm actually sitting right in front of this library of things. You can see we've got a birthday sign. I'll show you guys all the fun things that we've gotten. But we were, this happened about, we started 12 years ago. I say that with a grain of salt because we started cake pans 12 years ago. And then we decided this past fall to expand that to a bunch of more items like appliances, tech gadgets, devices, tools. And this all started with the idea to start a tool library. And then once we decided to do tools, we figured why not just get other items that might be useful to people in the community so that they don't have to go purchase them if they're only going to use it once or twice, especially with tools. You know, you might need that one tool for this one project that you're working on, and then you never need it again. So you're going to go spend all this money on, it could be this really expensive item, and then it's going to sit in a storage closet and never get used again, or you're going to sell it at a garage sale. So we decided to kind of take on some of that responsibility as the library in offering a collection of these items so that people can just swing by and pick it up and loan it out for a couple of days and then return it when they're done, and it could just keep getting used. So the first thing I'll go over is like deciding what we were going to offer. And so we decided to use things, like I said, tools, appliances, tech gadgets. And then specifically, we thought about also what would be useful to us to own as the library. So for example, if you have carpets in your library, I think a great example is like get a carpet cleaner, like one of those nice machines that cleans the carpets really well so that you could use it for your library, and then you could also loan it out to patrons. And so you're kind of like killing two birds with one stone and making as much use out of it as possible. Of course, you want to consider storage space. So we purchased these two racks from Amazon, which were fairly inexpensive, and they're pretty big. And so they house a bunch of the items that are too big to just put on a regular shelf. And then also over here, we have like a filing cabinet, which we repurposed. We cleaned it out over COVID and realized we had two empty shelving units, drawers. And so we put the tools in there and we label each drawer with what tools are in which, so we know. These are out of the public sight lines. So it is something to think about where you want to store it. If you want to store it somewhere where we didn't want it somewhere where patrons can easily go grab this piece of machinery or tool and then come to the circ desk or possibly walk away with it. So we do keep it downstairs in a section of the library that the public doesn't have access to. And then considering budget, we thought of ways to get people in the community or businesses involved to maybe make a donation. So we have Home Depot in Totowa. And so we went to Home Depot and asked if they would make a donation to the library. And the manager, whoever is running the Home Depot, offered a certain amount of credit to us that if we went in that week on a certain time when he's there, he would offer a certain amount of credit that we'd be able to just spend and use that credit to buy tools. We have a pawn shop in Totowa, or at least we did. I think they recently just closed, but we went there and asked if they had anything to offer. They had some items that maybe weren't selling, whatnot, and they donated some and offered some at reduced pricing to us. And then seasonal items, that's another thing that we thought about when creating the collection, because we thought those are particularly some of the most unused things that are laying around your house are things that you only use once a year, like a power washer. Maybe every spring you want to power wash your sidewalks or your siding. So we got a power washer. And especially now we're thinking of things that might be useful during the summer months. So we started this at the end of last summer. So we thought of things that would go with each season, and to, so that we could really stagger what we're purchasing when. So now we thought about like a metal detector, kids going to the beach and wanting to use the metal detector, things like that. And of course, product durability, making sure that, the products are going to last after use from patrons and extended lifespan. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, Luca, can you give me screen sharing capabilities? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go to our website. So to think about, actually, no, we'll go to the catalog. So thinking about cataloging, the way that I ended up cataloging all these items were, if it's a thing, so we have two categories. We have tools and we have things. And so tools are clearly tools, and things are anything else that we purchased for the Library of Things. So when we were cataloging these, I wanted to figure out a way to make sure that they were easily searchable for everybody, and to make sure that, especially like our staff could just type in, or even patrons can type in things or tools, and they'll find a list of all these items in the catalog. So I put thing in front of everything and tool in front of every tool. We also don't have call numbers on each item. We just have barcodes on the items. So each one has a call number of thing or tool to easily differentiate. In the title, I made sure to put the brand of the item, of course, whatever the product was called when we purchased it. And then, went pretty in depth a little bit with some of the dimensions, and just took like summaries from Amazon products or Home Depot if we bought it from there. And that's pretty much it. Now we're figuring out, with loan periods, that I'm trying to figure out how much each item should be. And we've been kind of running into some issues with that, especially with these birthday signs. I don't know if you guys have seen in your community, especially during COVID, people were renting or purchasing these big signs that spelt out happy birthday with big letters, and then the child's name or their age and all that kind of stuff. And so we did purchase a couple sets of those letters for the library, and then a couple sets of some like miscellaneous themed props as well that can go into the ground with stakes. And we noticed that once people started realizing that we had them, because they're actually fairly expensive even to rent, so even just that cost to absorb that for the community is really, really amazing. But once people realized we had these, they started saying, oh, well, can I reserve it for my son's birthday in 2 weeks? And then we started to realize, okay, whatever we have them cataloged as now, we got to make sure that, like, if somebody needs it at the beginning of the week and somebody needs it at the beginning of next week, got to make sure that we have enough time. So we modify the due dates right now until we can figure out the correct item type to put it under, that we can have them for loan out for only like 3 or 4 days. You figure you give them enough time to pick it up, put it up, and then a day to have it up, and then a day to take it down and return it. So 3 or 4 days, we've been giving them 4 days. But also something like the birthday signs, we created a Google Calendar to actually mark down each item with the item barcode and all that kind of stuff for any of the reservations, because people have started to say, can I reserve this for so-and-so's birthday on this day? And then we just want to make sure that we're not saying yes to somebody and then we don't actually have the items. I mean, we have multiple sets, so we haven't run into that issue yet, thankfully, but that's something that we decided to do, since that one has become one of the most popular items that we have in the Library of Things. And then if we go over to our website and talking about marketing, we had to figure out, especially because we've currently been closed to the public, we are in the process of reopening. But in this time of being closed, we needed to figure out how do people, since this wasn't a collection that we started while we were open, we needed to figure out a way to make sure that people in the community knew that we had these items. So of course, social media is a great way to market this. One of our pages created this display with all the letters. You'll see these letters, and then she spelt them out. Yeah, you guys can see that. It says "Borrow Me," and it has a couple items featured. And she created this little backdrop on our shelves with "Borrow Me," and then took a bunch of photos with different groups of tools and things. And then each week on social media, one of these posts so that people can realize that we have these items. And it's kind of catchy. And that's kind of why the happy birthday letters took off, because people saw that we had the letters. Another great way to market the items is if you want to cross market it with programming. So we have some instruments, we have guitars, ukuleles, a banjo. That's an easy way to cross market this with a program, is by having an instructor come in and do a little workshop on how to play, or even what other things. There's all different kinds of things. There's like we used to do a lot of food programs. So we do have some like food related items that we just looked around the library and said, oh, we have this item, let's slap a barcode on it and circuit like a crock pot. We had that for when we had, I don't know, when we used to have events and stuff, or if we had programs that needed to use the slow cooker or crock pot, or even for the staff's personal use in the kitchen. We just decided to slap a barcode on it. If you look at the website, I created this site so that it was easy for our patrons to kind of see the items, because that's one of the only downsides, is that the catalog doesn't have that capability for any of the Julius F record, right, Luca? For any of the items that don't have pictures. So I wanted them to be able to see exactly what the items are. So we just took photo shoots. We did a photo shoot one day with all the tools, make them look all uniform. And then down with the things, we just took the photos right from the manufacturer's website or wherever we purchased the item from. And then when you click on it, it brings you directly to the PALS catalog. I set it up so that it does that, so that if people want to just put a hold on it, they can. And then, of course, up here, we did have to think about a waiver for both the policy waiver, so that for the tools and the things, we have two separate policies, of course, because tools can be dangerous. They could, people can, if they're going to misuse it, it could be pretty bad. So we wanted to make sure that we were covered. I believe our borough attorney looked these over to make sure that they're in good shape. So we do have, I think they only have to sign it once. That's our policy, is they sign it. We don't actually associate it with a specific checkout. We just say, if we have it on file, then that's good enough for both of these. But you need to sign one and the other, both of them, if you're going to check out a tool and a thing. Yeah, does anybody have any questions about anything?